we just have a good rhythm together, you know, like he sort of feels me out, I feel him out, and we go for it.
Hello and welcome along to another exciting episode of The Worst Idea of All Time, Season 4, Episode 19. I am Guy Montgomery, joined as always by my trusty steed, Tim Batt.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. And a very special guest this week. We are in the studio, aka on my Walmart couch in my apartment in Bushwick, with Ayo Edebiri. Ayo.
Hi, Guy. Hi, Tim. I quite like your couch. I think it's a good couch.
You wouldn't have thought it's from Walmart,
I
right?
was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
$300. We bought it from the online catalog, and it folds out to be a bed.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. That's a great couch.
Thank you.
$300 is a lot to be spending at Walmart, though. Like, when you get to that price point, why wouldn't you go to IKEA or something?
Drag him.
IKEA is not necessarily superior to Walmart. I feel like that's quite an Antipodean sort of... Because we're so starved for IKEA, we put it on this pedestal. Like, it was national news in our country when IKEA was coming to New Zealand.
That's hurts me.
Yeah. Walmart is fine. And also, it's almost, I think, classic, because it's of a different time now where it's going to be phased out by Amazon.
There's something quaint about it.
Yeah. I feel like it's quite a nice kind of throwback brand.
When Bernie Sanders and... AOC win in 2020 and we burn Walmart to the fucking ground, you're going to regret saying on record, Walmart is fine.
I feel like actually it could be like a really nice spin. Like you'll have something from before the Great Wars, you know?
Yeah.
You'll have like an iconic piece of furniture in that way.
I'll have to like put a false label on it because they'll be running around everyone's apartments checking the furniture for allies and enemies.
That's the first thing that they'll do. And you just have to be ready for it.
It's a powerful platform. It's a recipe for success. Now, we've just watched, Tim and I have watched Sex and the City for the 19th time each. It is the afternoon or evening time here in America. Tim, what are you looking at?
A crisp 10:25 a.m. and I'll just let you know that I consumed the entire movie in one big gobbly bite today. So I woke up at 7:30, whacked her on. It was fucking devastating. There's no way to live.
Can you paint us a little picture of your sort of watching environment?
Same as it ever was, mate. Same as it ever was. I'm in bed. My wife's going to work. I'm alone, depressed. The gals are there. Didn't have headphones in this time because I wanted to give myself a treat, so I put it on the Bluetooth speaker so I could move my head around a little bit more. I mean, there's not a lot to add now.
That is such a terrifying treat.
Bleak. Which also, I'm like, so the other times you're watching it, I'm imagining your head almost like with, I don't know, like positioned, like you are physically unable to move it.
Ayo, you got it. You've
Okay.
got it.
All right. Torture. We love it.
Well, I would describe my viewing environment as largely unchanged, save for the company. But perhaps for Tim's purposes, you could describe how you enjoyed the watching experience.
Sure. Yeah. It was pretty nice, I'd say. We're on this lovely Walmart couch. They should really throw you guys a buck or two.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of spawn happening.
In our experience, this is how sponsorship begins.
We were on our Walmart couch. It was nice. We're in Guy's apartment. Cozy place. A little sun peeking through the window. Guys was being a really nice host and offering lots of snacks.
Yeah, we had we both had a CBD soda water.
Yeah. So.
The weed stuff.
What? I don't know. I don't know what it's meant to do. You've said how before it calms you?
Yeah, it kind of just like makes your muscles like chill out.
Yeah.
And also I think it's supposed to, the idea is that it counteracts all the soda stuff that's happening. So all of like the high energy stuff that soda gives you, it cancels it out. So you're just at sort of like a net zero.
So yeah, I guess
CBD is that's the medical bit. That's like what they use for pain relief. It's the THC that's the psychoactive bit. And then the CBD is the... But why would you put that in soda water?
Because it can make people spend money.
Yeah, I think as you get to charge an extra $1 per soda.
Fucking good shout.
That's great. Yeah. So we're addicted to capitalism.
Yeah. But we just sort of, heads down, bums up, just another day at the office.
What's up?
Hey, what was the banter like? That's a little saying from back home, Ayo, by the way. Head down, bum up just means you're getting to work, you know?
Nice.
You're not getting
Okay.
distracted. You're just
For sure.
plowing ahead, you're going through.
Thank you.
Give me a little peek behind the curtain. What was the banter like? What was the back and forth? What was the commentary during watching the film?
Well, what jumped out? I kept asking Ayo to tell me what she thought the stakes were. Which is, as you know, Tim, quite a challenging question when you're watching Sex and the City. So maybe now, for the benefit of our listener, you could
Yeah.
tell me what the stakes of this film actually are.
It was.
We have
it
one
was-
listener. Address them.
It was really hard. It kept being a challenge because also I said this, it wasn't a movie. It was 6 episodes of a show stitched together. And so that
Amen.
just makes it fully impossible. For half of the movie, I think the stakes were just like the concept of wedding planning, I want to say. Just like the idea that you could plan a wedding or you couldn't, That felt like...
But also, because the wedding planning does kind of take place in the background of... You're just watching Carrie
Yes.
walk around shops, while in the background, Anthony is presumably working his little tail off to get this wedding up and running.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Fully one of 2 gay men in this universe, really just working very hard, but also like rudely.
Yeah.
He's not a nice man.
He's
But
not.
he shouldn't. I don't know if he has to be because once again he is one of the only 2 gay men who exists in the city at this time. So maybe he's been built a little bit tougher. I don't know, but that just felt like
So you got wedding planning for the first half.
yeah. And then the second half was like, will she be okay? Like, is she gonna be all right? Will she sort of get out of bed? And I know that it's supposed to be like, will she in big? Won't she in big? But it didn't actually feel like that. It felt like, is she gonna get out of bed?
Which is, don't you think that's kind of better though? Because the whole TV show's about will they, won't they with Big. But I think her new boyfriend, Depression, is kind of an interesting guy to introduce.
Right, because like she would just be dating another guy, I guess, in the show or something like that.
How would we feel about the introduction of, because I guess Jennifer Hudson essentially portrays
Lord.
her rebound, but how would we feel? I know it's unlikely that it's going to happen between now and our next viewing, but if they did introduce some sort of rebound character, some sort of new romantic interest where Carrie realizes, because then at least there's a motive or there's some reason for her to still pine for Big. Like,
I want to
And
meet
this-
the Russian. He's in the
Oh.
intro bit, Alexander or something, but it's spelt like with a K in the Russian way.
Yeah.
Petrovsky or something. It's
Petrovsky,
got
I
a
think,
P.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I
He's
want
the
that
dancer
guy.
guy.
I want to meet him. I want to hang out with him. Ayo, what's your exposure to the Sex and the City franchise?
I didn't really watch much of it because I grew up in TV was very limited, truly by choice, by like choice of my family, and so I didn't really like. It just wasn't very interesting to me, even though I have seen like we were watching it and I was like, oh, I've seen like the spreads and like the dresses and like I knew who like the big designers were. Like I got that sort of
Yeah.
stuff, but I didn't have any interest in it, I guess. And then I guess later on I've seen like a few of the episodes just because there's like ones that you're supposed to watch.
and what was your impression? So from what you cobbled together of the Sex and the City franchise,
Yes.
coming in to watch the movie today,
Yes.
what was your impression of the characters and how has that changed, having spent 2.5 interminable hours in their company?
It sort of did cement for me that these women are insufferable. They are so horrible to be around. They seem like bad friends. And it's kind of incredible that they have, I mean, as characters, I guess, had friendships for so long.
But I guess it's like if you're in a long-term relationship with
Yes.
someone where you can let, you put the best version of yourself forward to begin with,
Right.
and you hide all the grisly stuff.
No, I'm awesome. I'm awesome and I'm perfect. And I actually don't relate to what you're saying at all. That's actually really weird.
Yeah, sorry.
But guy, we've been friends for what, like 5-ish years now. We wouldn't treat each other the way these women do. They're fucking wretched. They're just like all talking on top of each other. No one's listening to each other. No one wants to help each other.
We talked about that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, consistently, I don't think we would extend the same sort of treatment to one another as the characters in this movie do. I mean, I guess it's a tough one because it's like, you know, if you are only vaguely familiar, then you take this movie, you are like, these are bad people.
Yeah.
But if you're only vaguely familiar with it and you go back and you work your way through the series from the beginning, I do get the feeling, the more we are mean to this movie, that if I spent enough quality time with these women beforehand, they've earned the right to mistreat me so in this film. Right. And like there's this, because it's so flimsy. Like you're saying the reasoning behind Big and Carrie's separation at the wedding is so like, it's so underwritten, and this is like such a huge turning point for the film. But it's like, if I've spent 10 seasons of them being on and off again, then suddenly do I believe the motivation that because he didn't see her face directly or she didn't pick up her phone on the day of their wedding, that's reason enough for this like incredibly, you know, moody guy to decide not to get married.
Yeah.
You're giving them too much credit, I think. It's just, maybe it's just badly written.
It's okay if it is badly written. There is a joke in the movie, and I can't remember what it was, but it's when they're in Mexico, I think, and Samantha, like, she points out, she's like, oh, a joke, a bad one, but a joke. And so I'm like, okay, the writers know. Like, they do know that that this isn't very good. But, you know, it is what it is.
It is a good way to couch all of your bad jokes that you've, you know, snuck into a script
right.
by like getting the other cat. Like that feels like a war in the writer's room. Even though this was an auteur's vision, this was just Mattress Pike Click King, writer, producer, director. Mm-hmm. But it is very funny to write in bad jokes and then just disqualify them by having other characters observe. Like at different times playing audience surrogate.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, this joke sucks. Sorry,
go.
No, you go, Tim.
No, this is a real curveball. I'm going to hold it for later.
Okay. A very funny observation that has not occurred to Tim nor myself or any of our guests as to why Charlotte may have found herself in the medical situation she does in Mexico.
Yeah. So that was so psychotic. They tried to I guess, like, pitch it as if she finally drank the water and that is what made her sick. It's like, lady, you've been eating chocolate pudding for like 6 days for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, what's up? Your body like is rejecting that. You need fiber. Like, you need fruits and veg. Like, of course you're going to be ill. It's not you've been eating pudding.
She has the smallest amount of shower water go into her mouth, and
that's what
we've
it is.
taken issue with that before. Where it's like that's not how food poisoning works, but we never put it together to the point where it's like, oh yeah, you've been eating pudding exclusively for a week.
For a whole
Your
week.
organs are collapsing in on themselves.
They're screaming for help. So psycho for a plot line. Also,
it's that's sort of like that was a big. I feel like there are a few big gambits or bits that they're like, well, these are the moments we hang our hats on that movie audiences will see and they'll go out and talk about.
Right.
You've got the jilting. So you've got, first of all, the fact that they're getting married is huge.
Yes.
Then you've got the jilting.
Yeah.
You've got Charlotte shitting herself.
Classic.
And then you have the shot of, well, it's not really flaccid.
Yeah.
You have the shot of Dante's turgid penis in the shower.
No. That's a guy moment. I think everyone else is like, hey, cool, a little bit of pain in the movie, but you've really fucking honed in on Dante's
I feel like it was big. And I also want to add, you see Steve's ass.
Yeah, and you were stoked.
But I love Steve.
You got a real little thing going with Steve.
You asked what the banter was, and that was a lot of it.
Yeah, it was Ayo like aggressively lusting after Steve every time he was on screen. He's like, he's so hot. He's so fucking hot.
He is, and he's like a good man. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he does err quite heavily in this film.
Yeah, no, in a big way, and it's bad, and that's not good. But he's hot and like a good dad, and that's sort of it for me, I think. Yep, that's it.
It's an attractive
What is
quality.
let's delve into this. Like, what is it about him that makes him so attractive? Is it purely a physical appearance thing, or is it this kind of dad vibe? The dad vibe is a hot vibe.
Yeah. Dad vibe is a hot vibe. When you see like a nice father and it's like awesome, you know? That's always like, cool. Glasses help.
Can I ask, is there an element with, because there is it a Zaddy is like is that related to dad vibes?
No. Well, Steve is not a Zaddy. Because Zaddies are like, that's like a sexy sort of, there's something like almost macho adjacent
What
to
you were
it.
describing about Steve is kind of sexy, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's like kind sexy.
Okay.
You know?
So a Zaddy can't be kind sexy.
No, Zaddies are like aggressive sexy, I feel like.
Okay.
Steve is like, oh, okay, this is it. I said this to you. Steve has like, he's a giver vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is like hot.
Do you think part of the attraction to seeing, I guess it's biological and ingrained, but seeing someone being good as a good dad is attractive?
Yeah.
Is there also an element of unattainability where it's like you want what you can't have, and you see something? Well, if they're parenting that child, I imagine that they are beyond reach for me.
Okay. Do we want to move on?
Yeah. Also, because he's a fictitious character in a film,
Guy,
the unattainability. Yes.
when you see a woman being a great mother, do you find that sexually attractive? Are you like, yes, please?
Yes, my partner is an incredible mother, and I find it incredibly attractive.
Cool, no comedy there, just a good observation. It did just feel like we were coming at Ayo from all angles, throwing a lot of questions at our podcast guest this episode.
Thank you, Tim.
Just a quick
my only
deflection
ally.
I feel like we're all having a good time. We're having a bit of a laugh.
We're having a good time. I want to throw a real curveball at you though, Ayo. And that is, so like obviously Guy and I did an entire season of watching Sex and the City 2. We watched it a lot of times. 52, some might say. Too many. And we developed, because we went slightly mad, like a whole kind of mythos around the things that were happening just outside of frame, or just before or after the movie. One of the main things or threads that we sort of built on is Brady, who is Steve and Miranda's child. Immediately after the events of Sex and the City 2, so a few years on from what you just saw, becomes a rat king, where he descends into the sewer system of New York and basically commands control of New York City's rat population and kind of lords over the underworld. I just wanted to see if you, like, you know, could imagine that based on the little bits, the little scenes that you saw of young Brady in this film, and if you thought that was, like, cool, because we think it's cool.
Okay, first of all, I would just love to say that I'm so sorry that the two of you are so unwell. It wasn't clear until that theory was fully presented. And thank you for being open enough to share that with me. I actually really love that theory. And I love it because we're seeing Brady, like, alone. Like, so much, you know, and, like, he's, like, adjacent to his mother. He's like nearby her, but he's like, you know, left to his own devices. So who's to say within that time, like while he's just out of reach, that he's not actually playing with the fire truck, that he's speaking to a rat and sort of gaining those first moments of communication. Like he's learning this skill. He's starting to, like, you know, the first taste of his rebellious life. Because, you know, he's surrounded by all this, like, egregious wealth. Like, who isn't to say that, you know, it's sickening to him this whole time.
Oh, yes.
Evil eyes around
I love this political undertone. So he becomes so, like, disgusted by this bourgeoisie lifestyle.
He's running in 2040. Absolutely.
If you see that in its entirety as well, you sort of, because it's your classic supervillain origin story where you spend enough time with him and you see his perspective and you can see how the thoughts that eventually become, like, quite maniacal
Yes.
and like dictatory
Yes.
take seed, where it's like initially he's rebelling. He turns against wealth to the sewers, to the
Right.
streets, to rats, which is like represents like a very low status thing in anywhere. And so you're like, yes. And then
Yeah.
eventually though, once he learns to control and harvest, not harvest, but
Harness
like
the
harbour
power.
the power of the
Okay,
rats.
yeah.
His eventual like desires are for total global domination.
Right, yeah. It goes a little bit too far. That's perfect. That's a perfect supervillain origin story. the sort of like good intention behind it.
Yeah.
But power corrupts, as they say.
Well, it sounds like
have such a strong desire to flesh out this story in either like a graphic
Yeah.
novel or a web
Yeah.
series or something. Like, I really want to make
I
this
think
thing.
I think Steve has to die.
well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And he very well could, because we also developed quite intensive mythos around Steve.
Steve, I mean, the man, the mystery, the
Yeah.
absolute legend.
So
yeah.
a few of the things we know about Steve is he has no ability to spell. So he produces and releases his own line of dictionaries, the wealth from which he uses as a platform to run and eventually win the mayoralty of New York City.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, did you see anything in this solo screening of the first Sex and the City movie to suggest that this might be somewhere that Steve winds up?
I'm going to be honest with you. Unfortunately, no. And that is sort of where you lose me.
Wow. It's so interesting that we had you with the rats.
Yeah.
I
because
commend
I
you on
think
you're so generous to go along with us, like right down the path. But I like also that
Yes.
you have your limits, and you're like, you know what?
Well, there
No.
are characters to me who are illiterate.
Yeah.
Who are very clearly illiterate. Big.
Yeah.
Illiterate.
Absolutely.
Charlotte, illiterate.
Probably illiterate.
absolutely illiterate. I think Samantha can read, but she chooses not to. And she has people around her dictating things because reading is exhausting.
You do see her physically throw a copy of a book
Of the
away
secret.
over
Of
her
the
head.
secret. If you can't finish that,
Yeah.
reading is just like a choice that she chooses not to make. But I
Yeah.
think Steve can read. I also think Miranda wouldn't have married him if he was illiterate.
Yeah.
I think that might have been a deal breaker for her.
Do you think the reason that were you naturally more invested in their story than the others in this film?
Yeah.
I feel like I do feel some responsibility, although I know that you are capable of independent thought, but
Yeah.
like I do always favor that storyline. So I feel like if we have a guest
Yeah.
who watches with me, I'm always sort of more engaged, and then but do you also think that's a testament to superior acting to what's being turned in the rest of the
Well,
film?
here's the thing. I mean, you've got Steve, who's got the eyes, and the eyes are like, maybe that's the other thing. There's like second lead eyes, which is like the guy in the rom-com who doesn't get the girl, but who wants the girl, who has like that gaze. Like he's like a master of the sort of longing gaze,
Yeah.
and so that's a big help for me. But also, we got Tony-nominated acting on the side of former gubernatorial candidate Cynthia Nixon. Rest in peace. She's still alive.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have said that. That's fine.
She did well though. She moved the platform to the left, so it wasn't for nothing, you know.
And and move it just a little. She did. She really did just enough.
Tim, you're alienating our core central listenership of one central listener.
Sorry. Who's a devout
Sorry.
libertarian?
And you gotta respect that. And you just gotta. Yeah, I do think superior acting. I also think that storyline had stakes. It's like there's a marriage
There's
hanging
a child
in the balance, right? And it's like something tangible. Whereas with literally, who cares about Charlotte? Sorry, but like literally who? She's a horse girl. She is a horse
And-
girl. Yeah, she's a horse girl and a pet girl, and it's like enough, And also like, I don't know. I feel like Samantha, it was kind of like on and off. Like whenever it felt like there were stakes or like something clearly like that she wanted, then it sort of would like disappear or change a little. We didn't get to see her bonk, Mr.
Dante.
Turgid. Yeah.
Mr. Turgid.
That's fucked,
I love
eh?
that.
How ripped off would you feel going to Sex and the City, the movie, after you've been so invested in the series, and you don't get to see Samantha fuck.
It's literally psycho. It's like, that should be illegal. I'm sorry.
I feel like Kim Cattrall had it written in because you see right up to the edge in different instances. You see her lusting.
Right.
You see her and Smith just post-coital. Like you see him rolling over, and you see her topless, but she's got like leaves covering her nipples. Like I feel like Kim Cattrall specifically stipulated, look, I know that it's a huge part of the series, but no sexy time for me.
Yeah, maybe she was tired of it. That's really, I didn't even think of that. That's very obvious. Good job, guy.
I reckon you're wrong on this one, Monty. I reckon it was Sarah Jessica Parker who spent so long at the gym, and she was like, you ain't going to take my thunder. And this is all part of the Kim Cattrall, Sarah Jessica Parker shitstorm.
The beef. Yeah. The beef goes deep.
The beef goes so deep.
That beef, though, would also, I feel like, because Sarah Jessica Parker famously was the only one of the 4 girls to not get her kid off in the series. So I feel like if she really wanted to run back at Kim Cattrall and like put a flag in the ground, she'd be like, even more. She'd push the boat out even further. Say, this is what my nipples look like. And no, Kim Cattrall, we're not going to see your nipples in this film.
Yeah.
So she would weaponize her own nudity. So to like wave it in her face, Sarah Jessica Parker would be like, here are my breasts.
Exactly. If she is going to shut down that avenue for Kim Cattrall, which was a huge part of the series, I feel like she'd really want to like rub her face in it and be like, and I'm nude now. After like making a point of not being nude, 2 fingers, fuck you twice. I'm naked.
Crazy. In retrospect, that SJP, so there's no topless scene with her, and there's like incredibly explicit scenes with most others. I don't think what's her name? Kristen
Davis.
There's a scene where you sort of see her breasts, right, in the TV show.
Yeah.
But
I think everyone else. I mean, they wound up casting a lot of the sexual responsibility in this film on Donna, but then also on Miranda.
Cynthia Nixon. Yeah. Oh, that scene with Steve is like from another movie. That's psycho. The lighting also, like the whole vibe of it is like, this is something else.
Yeah. Real Caligula.
What movie is it from, though? What is it like? Do you think it's a real tasteful porno, or like what are we looking at in that scene?
Something like a cross between sort of like a tasteful, like maybe like female directed porn, or to like a sort of Oscar baity movie where like a woman is like, you know, her husband dies, or, you know, she has some sort of like pent up frustration and she can only release herself through sex because that's art. And then, you know, it's like that, like a lot of that. Yeah.
It's Daniel Day-Lewis is starring in this movie, and that's like the 2 sort of B leads who finally get to fuck later on.
Yes,
under
I'm
trying
peeing on set like a little pervert. It's good. It's good, and it's going to win an Oscar.
Well, seeing as we're here and we're already geared towards quite a positive angle of conversation, I feel like it might be a good time for us to throw out some shining lights. Tim, amongst the misery of your experience with Sex and the City this morning, was there anything you enjoyed?
Honestly, the end credits starting to roll. That was fucking it for me, eh? It was bad.
That's the sort of behaviour that would have got me told off by you once upon a time.
Yep.
And now look at you, phoning it in. My moment is a very small moment when Miranda and Carrie are out for dinner. It's the confessional dinner where Miranda eventually, you know, gets it off her chest that she said this thing to Big the night before the wedding. And right before she says that, Carrie's beating up on herself. She's saying, I reread the Vogue article. I didn't say we once. It was all I. To which you astutely observed that...
Bless you, Tim.
Sorry.
That's how healthy people talk.
Yeah, healthy, normal people communicate by being like, this is how I feel, so that you don't put the onus on the other person. But apparently that's wrong in this universe.
Yeah. Well, to everyone save for Miranda. So she's saying that, and she's saying, you know, she's sort of taking full responsibility.
Right.
And part of it is Miranda's about to, you know, take her share of the burden and say, well, here's what I did. Right. And part of it is, I feel like she disagrees fundamentally with what Carrie's saying, but she does the sort of head shaking, lean back, like I've done, or you will have done to friends, where they're saying something that you're like, I love you, I respect you, I feel you, but I disagree with this point. And the shot lasts for less than a second, but she leans back and she's going, no, I've got to say this thing. And that little beat of acting, I thought, was an absolute powerhouse.
Wow. Oh, God, you have really seen this movie 19 times. Okay. Oh, my God. Just with two, like, broken men. The most wounded men. My shining moment, this might have already been said because it is sort of, but you know, I have to speak for myself.
Yeah,
my truth.
absolutely.
And my shining moment comes, I think, in the jilting scene, in the big jilting scene. Do you know what I'm gonna say?
No, but
when we're what?
Sorry, the flowers? Is that it with the?
No, not the flowers. It's Kristen Davis's no.
oh yeah.
It's just the way that
Yes.
she says no. She's so unimpressive for the whole rest of the movie, and that is like, it was really powerful. It's like from the gut.
Yeah.
It's really good.
yeah.
It is really, really strong acting. I actually saw, it was an argument on Twitter recently where someone was tweeting saying, I can't believe my boyfriend thinks that Charlotte is the worst character. And she, pulls out examples from beyond the films, controversially in my opinion.
Well, she was basically, she was saying, so you're telling me that the one smart-driven brunette who is actually able to articulate that she wants a family and goes out and pursues that goal in the series is the one you least like.
Yeah.
I think was the
But one of the-
thrust of it.
One of the specific examples presented, though, was like a screen cap of that acting being like she defiantly stood up for Carrie in a moment of need.
Yeah.
And I saw that and I was like, yeah, that is, even in a still, that's powerful.
Yeah. It's really good. She is one of the more, I feel like the I me characters. Like even one of her like big like emotional crises is which is so insane. Wait, I get it, but it's nonsense when everybody is like going through horrible things and she's like, my life is awesome, and what if it isn't one day?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, you suck. That's so annoying.
Yeah, she does do that.
She tries
Also
to hide it,
responsible-
though, to be fair. I think Carrie kind of draws that out of her, doesn't she? Or
Yeah, she also is responsible, I think, for one of the poorer pieces of acting, which I haven't really noticed as full-throatedly as I did this week, when she does the shitting herself scene.
Yes.
And you get the feeling that, there was like, they knew that after audio effects were going to be doing all the heavy
All the
lifting,
work.
because all of her acting is, it's just a slow kind of crash zoom on her face, and she's like just doing different eye bulges
It is
and mouth movements.
Hot girl acting 101. It's awesome. Yeah.
What's the secret?
I think it's just like you're always aware that you're hot. And so your face can only do so many weird things. So she has to mostly do like eye work and maybe like a
Yeah.
twist the lip to one side and then twist the lip to another. And that's okay because her burden is being a beautiful person. You know what I mean? I love that burden for her. She physically cannot make her face look any worse.
Yeah.
And that's
well,
and
speaking
that's
of
just her
this,
truth.
speaking of a scene that looks like it's from another movie, I reckon that shot looks like it's from some real broad rom-com because it's weird. It's like that kind of visual language is repeated nowhere else in the movie, where it's like the slow zoom and it just holds total
Yeah.
for comic effect on someone who's shat themselves. It's very like cartoony, and it doesn't match the rest of anything in there.
Yeah. It is responsible for pulling Carrie out of her Mexicoma, which is the joke to which we were referring Samantha makes fun of earlier.
Awesome joke.
I was
so it is
so
quite a-
unimpressed. We're on video chat and you're just shaking your head. You're like, fucking Mexicoma.
Poor.
While we are here doing little party segments, I would love if we could get Outside the Lines with Ayo Edebiri.
Yes.
So, Tim, you know the line. I know the line. Ayo, you know the line.
I do know the line now.
What in damnation could Carrie be referring to when she says, when big colours, he really stays inside the lines?
I think she's talking coming. I think she's saying when he comes, it's all over. I think we're talking on the chest, we're talking on the face, we're talking on the tongue, on the back, wherever. When big colors, it's really inside that. Maybe even physical, like what's actually happening physically. Maybe it's not just P and V. You know what I mean? Maybe we're going in as many holes as possible.
Oh, it is. I have a picture of an emaciated Mr. Big at the end of your walkthrough there, just like he's just exhausted and so thin.
Yeah, incredibly
his suits,
dehydrated.
the white
Just
suits
his
are
very-
doing all the
Yeah.
all the work.
It
Just
is,
sort of the white suits swaying
undeniably-
in the distance.
There's no other way to read the line. We've done the market research. I think 100% of people agree on what this is. It's amazing it's in the movie, but thank God it is, just to add a little bit of colour for us, having to watch this 52 times. You know what I mean?
Just a little bit of color, okay?
I thank you.
Thank you. I think it either has to be like where he's coming, or that they're doing like weird, like they're doing sort of like, you know, weird wherever he's moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You described coming on the chest and the back,
Yeah.
which to me suggests that not only is Mr. Big doing quite a lot of work, but Carrie has quite an important role of very fast-paced movement. Mm-hmm. If you want total bodily coverage, like,
Oh, you
Full
mean
shower.
all, like
Yeah.
in one ejaculate, getting it in the two
yeah.
locations?
All over, yeah. Like she
Right.
has to be like flipping and spinning and sort of like, you know, moving to and fro.
Do you know what I'm imagining now? In their bedroom, you know, like how Pink's really good on the ribbons? It's like one of those. It's kind of a harness contraption. And Carrie is having to fuck Mr. Big vigorously
Yeah.
while on these things, while also like tying herself up like a finely sprung spring, and then releases
Yes.
just as he comes,
Yeah.
so she can get full body coverage as she spins out.
Wow, the miles per hour on that. I also love that you said, you know how Pink's really good on the ribbons? Which, here's the thing, it's true, and I knew exactly what you meant.
well, I'm in the minority here of people who was not aware that Pink is really good on the ribbons.
She's great on the ribbons. You gotta
You better be
watch.
doing a fucking gag right now, Monty, because if you haven't seen Pink on the ribbons, you haven't fucking lived. She is so good.
She's killer on the ribbons.
I'm not a massive. I've kind of fallen out of pop. Do you know, for 2019, kind of unofficial resolution, I want to get more back into pop. I want to absorb more pop. I
Wow.
want to like ingratiate myself back into pop music. But back when I was working in radio and like top 40, Pink was everywhere and she never really left. And I just continue to be impressed with that woman's career. It blows my fucking mind, and I think we don't talk about it enough. She
Absolutely.
is kind of the like scandal-free, not quite Michael Jackson. Who's a good example? Just someone with like
Absolutely not quite Michael Jackson. Absolutely
someone with like,
not,
but
Tim.
she's constantly like reinvented herself, and just the longevity of that woman's career. She's always been in the charts since I was like basically a child, and I find it deeply impressive.
Yeah, I remember writing my first music assignment on Pink when I was still in either year 7 or 8 in bloody
Wow.
Mrs. Dodgson's music class.
Okay, drag her.
No, I actually have a really good relationship with
Fuck
Mrs.
her up,
Dodgson.
guy.
Okay, never mind.
No,
Absolutely take Mrs. Dodgson to town.
I got a lot of respect for her.
Nice. She let you write about Pink.
Yeah, she did. I think I've said this on the podcast before, but I love the line so much I'll recycle it. At the end of the assignment, it was after the release of her first album.
Okay.
I wrote, who knows what the future holds, but right now, everything sure looks rosy in the world of Pink.
Fuck you, dude.
You hate to hear it.
I was 11.
You hate to hear it.
Don't put the boot on me
Guy-
when I was 11.
I was trying to remember it while I was watching this morning. What's that segment you made up that we now have to do every time that I hate?
Oh.
It's
I keep forgetting
called I don't want to bother you people.
That's right.
Yeah, and you love it. So I explained to Io that we have to do it and that you hate
Great.
it.
Yep.
Great.
So Io, the floor is yours.
Okay. So in my mind, Steve's rushing in. He's coming from a car, which almost seems like a van, if I'm remembering correctly. And he's sweating, and he's like in this sort of tense his marriage has just freshly, gotten on the fritz, is in a really rough, rocky place. He's been out, not allowed to stay at the apartment. He's a stressed man. He's an every man, but he's stressed. And, even every man, even normal men have their vices. And so while he's been out, he has lost himself. Drinking, gambling, really seedy stuff, like full underworld. And he's gotten, unfortunately, into the wrong side of the wrong people. And so he's rushing in, not wanting to bother them, because there's a van full of loan sharks and mob men, and they need money, and they need it now.
That makes for a much more interesting second half of the film. So he's got nowhere else to turn to. He knows that all of the people he knows are congregating at this one event, an event he should avoid.
Right.
But it's the only possible way to protect himself.
Yep.
And then I guess maybe if they take him and still don't have their money, his family.
I love it. That's so much better. It gives kind of a John Wick angle to this whole film, which I'm very into.
Okay, and I would love to see Steve lead his own John Wick. That would be hot. I'll say it. I'll say it.
I would be
be
sexually
hot.
gratified to seeing that, to be honest.
My boy. My absolute boy, Tim. Correct.
There is actually another there's another moment that becomes a bit John Wicky where
You've taken all the power out of that title by adding a Y.
Yes. Seems much sillier of a movie. Ooh, John Wicky.
John Wicky.
It's sort of Keanu Reeves playing John Wick, but still trapped in the Bill and Ted universe. But it's when Carrie's really upset at the jilting, and Samantha says, "We can get anything you want," and Carrie says, "A hitman." And every time she says a hitman, I always think, how much more interesting would this movie become if Samantha's like, "Okay," and Carrie goes, "No." And then that classic comic beat plays out where Samantha's like, "Don't worry, I heard you." And Carrie's like, "No, I don't want a hitman." She's like, "Yeah, I get it. You don't want a hitman."
Yeah.
And then actually goes out, and the second half of the movie, Big's got a hit out on him.
Yeah.
Fuck, yes.
I think that'd be so fun. Because also, here's the thing, we could still have cool outfits. So the people who come to see this, for the visuals, they get what they want. The boyfriends coming to the theater, they get what they want. They get a little, a little boom.
That's right.
Little gun action.
Women love dresses and men love
guns.
action. Yeah.
Men love guns and women love dresses.
And that's just the way the world is. And if
Sorry.
you don't like it, you can stop listening to this fucking podcast, you libertarian solo listener.
Io, to wrap up, if I may, I would just love to get your opinion for our one libertarian podcast subscriber on whether or not you think, should people watch the film? We always tell them not to, but I want an outsider's take.
I think if you are in a situation where you are doing laundry and you're also high out of your mind, then maybe it could be something funny just to have on because of noise. It also was fun to get to do a hate watch with a friend. That's always fun. I did love Candice Bergen's literal one-noted performance where she did not move her vocal cords.
Yeah. The scene after that, Io turned to me and said, "I'm trying to figure out how she is funny because she never changes her voice."
But she still killed it.
That's talent.
Yeah, it was very impressive. So if you want to see little gems like that, I say go for a watch. But if you sort of enjoy your own freedom and sort of the idea of, happiness and peace, I would say don't watch it.
That's good. That's good
I love
information to have.
Because some people don't want peace.
Yeah.
And that's just true. So don't do it if you love your chaotic, toxic life.
Well, I mean, not really a sager note to end on. Tim, do you have any final notes or information to share with the good people or person?
Absolutely none. I would love to be able to give out Io's dates. I'm going to put it in the episode description, but Io, shout out all your shit where people can find you online.
Oh, yeah. I am on Instagram and Twitter, and I post all my shows and stuff there if you want to see me in real life talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Just look at the episode
by the way,
description. The links are in
I'm
there.
experiencing what you're describing right now, and it's fantastic.
That's sort of, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you soon for it's a milestone watch, our 20th screening of Sex and the City.
A huge one. Thanks, Ayo.
Bye. Thank you.
We just have a good rhythm together, you know. He sort of feels me out, I feel him out, and we go for it.